Was Abraham Lincoln a president?
Yes.
Oh, I thought he was just a whatever publical figure.
Welcome back to Dulu Diaries, where the timelines don't match, but the receipts always do. Today I want to talk about Amber's cameos as well as Danielle, and if you don't know who that is, don't worry, we're going to get into it. As far as her cameo goes, she last fulfilled one on May 30th, and I've been checking pretty regularly, and it looks like she's still getting about one cameo a day, which makes me think that somebody is specifically ordering them, because it's just kind of a big coincidence that every single day she has somebody ordering one, and that's it. But regardless, she hasn't fulfilled them since the 30th, and you only get 7 days to fulfill a cameo. So at this point, I'm like, okay, well, why is she not fulfilling these? Because they're all going to be late if she doesn't do them today, because I'm recording this on the 6th. If she doesn't fulfill it before the 7th day, then it automatically expires, meaning that you get your refund back, the video request just disappears, like basically it's canceled out automatically. So if she's really so hard-pressed for money, you would think she wouldn't be letting these cameos expire, but she hasn't been on the platform in 7 days. So I don't really know what's going on with that, but if I had to guess, I would say that it seems pretty likely to me personally that she could be turning to sites like OF or Phoebe in order to make money over there, because she hasn't been on TikTok on her own platform streaming. She has I think 5 subscribers or something like that on TikTok. So, she's not earning a lot of money off of that. I know she has some secondary Discord thing again, but I don't think that she has enough members in there to be earning good money because it is fully private, invite only. I don't even know for sure if she's charging for it or not. I just know that people have said that they know that she has this invite only Discord, and with everything that happened with the first one, I would think that she should not be relying on that because, like I said before, the authorities have been involved, and some of you guys asked how I know that. I know people who personally have reported it, so I know for a fact it has been reported, but there's also secondary sites that you can check up on Amber on, and people have filed reports there too. So in case you're wondering, that's how I know. I'm not trying to gatekeep sources or anything. I'm just saying that it's pretty prevalent around on Reddit, Facebook, things like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into talking about Danielle. I have seen that Jordy's been doing these interviews or talking about Danielle. I didn't really know who she was, and honestly, his live streams are just really long. It's hard to get time where I can sit down and watch all of what he has to say. But I decided to go ahead and watch the one that he most recently did, where he actually does an interview with her. If you don't know who she is, apparently back in 2023, so between when she was with Feline and with Valentine and then Emily, she had implied that she was talking to somebody and that they were getting really flirty. I did go over that just a little bit in one of my more recent retro reacts, so I don't really remember which one it was, but I'll put it in one of the little cards up above for you guys if you guys want to go check that out. But anyways, apparently that person that she was referencing was Danielle. So Danielle is basically coming out now to talk about it because she said that she's tired of people saying that she was a married mooch. I guess there was a rumor that she was married to an older woman and was a sugar baby or something like that. She's irritated with the people saying that there's 2 Danielles when she believes there's only one Danielle, which is her. And she's also concerned that Emily might dox her. Apparently Amber has given Emily a lot of her personal information, and so she's kind of nervous about that, but that doesn't really make sense to me, because if you're nervous about being doxed, why would you bring yourself further into it, I guess, if that makes sense? Her explanation is that she doesn't know what Emily knows, but she feels like she would probably continue to dig at it, but I don't see why she would do that if Danielle has not been really on the scene since 2023, but I haven't seen the whole interview. I plan to kind of watch it while I'm talking to you guys, just so I don't forget it, because my memory is completely shot at this point. But that was the whole reason that she said she was coming out, and additionally, she said that she felt like this section of Girl World was kind of dry, and she wanted to add something to spice it up. Now, in order to keep our thinking caps on, I do just want to remember, first of all, she fully said that she's coming out to spice things up. So keep in mind that she could be over dramatizing things. Also, the way that Jordy verified her is apparently a little sketchy. It was very, we're not sure, basically. It sounds like he had her friend him and show that she was a mutual friend of Amber's at one point or something like that. I don't really know what the whole verification process was, but just keep that in mind too, that this person could potentially not even be the person that Amber was talking about. It sounds like it's good enough that Jordy felt comfortable running with it. I don't know what his verification checks were, but I'm just saying, keep in mind, she's literally saying she's coming here to provide drama and that her background check was pretty bare bones. So, take that for what you will, but let's go ahead and talk about what Jordy had to say in his live stream. Okay, so before he gets into the interview, he does go over a little portion where they were texting back and forth a bit, Jordy and Danielle, I mean. And I will tell you in my description box, not only the link to the video in case you want to see the whole thing, but the timestamp for the actual interview as well, in case you want to see just the portion where he's talking to Danielle, because again, it's hard to find 2 hours to sit down and watch this kind of thing. But anyways, so he opens up and it's Danielle saying that basically her and Amber were friends. So she says that, maybe there was a little bit of flirtation going on, but they weren't like ever exclusive. They weren't ever dating. She says that she did know a lot of stuff that was going on before it was brought up during the Feline era about like Abby and Erica, which is Valentine, if you guys forgot. And so since she knew a lot of stuff, she feels like if there was a second Danielle, she would have heard about that too, and she never did. But what she does believe is that Emily had gone and made different accounts with her name and profile and was commenting on Amber's live streams at the time, because this was during live stream era, making it out like she was Danielle. So that's where the confusion over the two Danielles seems to have stemmed from, which I don't know how I feel about that. On the one hand, like, I can kind of see Emily doing that because Emily is like very conniving in my opinion. On the other hand, I don't know that I fully believe that Emily is the kind of person who would like bait her partners to see if they're loyal, because I don't think that Emily cares very much about loyalty, but that's just from what I've seen. Either way, so Danielle ended up messaging Amber saying something about like, oh, you're blaming everybody for what is happening to you, and that's kind of disappointing to hear because you could actually improve yourself so much, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. And Amber obviously left her on red because Amber doesn't respond to stuff like that. And then after a while with Jade, Amber was doing decently there. So Danielle went ahead and sent a message of support, and that's the one that Amber had responded to. And then as Jade was kind of like fading into the background a little bit, like they were heading towards the breakup, that's when her and Danielle started talking a lot more, and I guess that's pretty much leading up to the point where I told you guys earlier that she had said that she was starting to fall for somebody, which, if my recollection is correct, she said that and she brought them up in a live stream, and then like the next day she basically was like, oh, we talked about it, we're just gonna be friends, whatever. So that is apparently who Danielle is. I hope that kind of makes sense. And the thing is that we know that that's how Amber is. She's very quick to like try to find somebody new to replace girls when they're on the way out. So that part actually does make a lot of sense to me. And then Danielle was saying that basically she was maybe being a little bit flirty, but she was in a relationship and she was going through a hard time in her life. And Amber just fell really, really quick and wanted a lot more, like, I guess commitment and attention is what it sounds like, than what she was prepared for. And so what did we hear very shortly after this period is that Amber was going after Valentine, and the same thing happened. Things just developed so quick, and Amber was so intense about it that it just became very uncomfortable for Valentine. So this really does kind of add up in my mind, where I'm like, okay, so she did it to Valentine. It makes sense that she would have done it to another girl just a couple of months prior. So I don't know. I do think that this sounds kind of credible. And just to clarify, even though Danielle says it was flirty, Danielle never wanted to be in a relationship, nor does she consider herself to have ever been in a relationship with Amberlynn. So it just sounds like maybe a flirty kind of friendship that Amber misconstrued, misread, and then talked about on that live stream, which again kind of does add up with what happened, because Amber said she was talking to this girl, she was catching feelings, and then she talked about her in the live stream, and the very next day she was like, oh, well, we talked about it, we're just gonna be friends. So that kind of does line up with what Danielle is saying about just wanting to be friends with Amber, but maybe having a little bit of like a flirty relationship, and then talking to her and being like, hey, what the heck, why'd you do that whole live stream where you talked about me? Like, that's not what I'm interested in. I just want to be friends right now. I'm going through a hard time. In fact, based on how we know that Amber and Beck got together, I wouldn't be surprised if that live stream where she mentioned Danielle was actually a ploy to get Danielle to sign on, because she could have been like, oh, well, Amber already talked about me in that way, so maybe I should just give it a shot so that it won't be embarrassing for her. That's just my speculation of a possibility that could happen, so don't take that and run with it, but I'm just saying we know Amberlynn will use manipulation tactics to get what she wants if she feels like she can swing it. And Jordy actually brings that up and asks if Amber ever asked for Danielle to move in with her, and apparently she did. I'm like, they're not even dating, and Danielle is saying that Amber was frequently like, oh, come visit, and I guess she never technically said, like, come move in, but, like, kind of the implication was come visit, and you can move in if you want to, or whatever, and that Amber was applying quite a bit of pressure for things to get serious, and again, Danielle, she did say that she had some, like, underlying feelings, like maybe a crush on Amber, but she was in a partnership, so, like, I don't know why Amber always feels so entitled to take other people's partners. So then she starts talking about the relationship between Amber and Jade, as well as Amber and Valentine. And this is kind of interesting because we haven't really heard much about the background of Jade, Feline, that kind of relationship or whatever. So first of all, she says that there were a lot of parallels between her relationship with Amber and Amber's relationship with Valentine, and that both of them had partners, and Amber was showing her the text that she was sending back and forth between herself and Valentine. And so I think we can assume that she was showing the messages from Danielle to Erica as well. And apparently she was doing the same thing with Jade. She was showing Jade the flirty text messages between herself and Danielle to make Jade jealous. And if you remember, in one of her vlogs from that time, she did say that she was upset because her and Jade had been getting into arguments because she was in love with two people at the same time. Keep in mind, we don't know for sure what happened, but Danielle's version of events is that she told Amber from Jump Street that while she might be having a flirty chit chat with her, that it was never going to work out because by her own account, she's very athletic and she likes to be like out and about and doing stuff, and that it would just never work out with Amber, and that it was just going to be like a fun little flirtationship and nothing deeper than that. So to use that and get so emotionally attached that you are like feeling like you're in love with two different people, knowing one of them is not willing to be in a relationship with you, and B, to be like, I'm in love with two people when one person like is basically telling you like, hey, this is just for a little bit of fun, I'm never going to be with you. Like, that's crazy. She really has some severe self-destruction tendencies going on. But to give her the benefit of the doubt, this is what Danielle is saying. She knows what people are going to think about her. For all we know, she really was planning on cheating with Amber and leaving her partner or whatever. Like, we just don't know. So keep that in your mind. Now, she did say that sometimes she would be on the phone with Amber and Jade would just start screaming at each other, like really getting irritated. And that apparently her talking to Amber was a big part of those fights because of, like I said, she was showing Jade the text messages and stuff. And as we all know, there was a period of time where Jade was like, oh, I'm not going to drive you to your mom's house, because she was really irritated with Amber. And apparently that was because of this whole thing going on with Danielle. And so Danielle actually offered to drive Amber from Kentucky to Oklahoma because she felt like she was responsible. But as we know, in the end, first of all, Alexis was also up to drive her, and I think Alexis was Amber's first choice, and then obviously Feline ended up driving her in the long run. So the other thing she says is that she feels, in her opinion, she doesn't have any proof of this, but just in her opinion, that Jade was with Amber for the money, and I honestly agree with that. I've said it before that I feel like Jade was just in it for the money because Jade got so much stuff, and Danielle brings this up too. She got a bunch of expensive pairs of shoes. She got tattoos. I think she mentioned something about a car. I don't remember that, but I'm just saying I remember Jade getting a lot of financial benefit from being with Amber. And yes, she was still working, but I mean, if you go into it with the thought process of like, hey, I'm going to be with this person, they're not that difficult to be with, I can be with her for a couple of years, retain my career, and just have like a couple of easy years where I have a lot of extra income. Yes, it's red flag, selfish, it's wrong to do morally, but it makes sense. And then Danielle goes on to imply same thing with Emily. Emily might not be benefiting financially per se, but she certainly is getting something positive from the relationship with Amber, if you guys can read between the lines. And I agree with that. I have said that as well, that it doesn't feel like a genuine, real love connection. It feels like Emily is just with her for her size. So speaking of Emily, this is where Danielle starts talking about how things are escalating with Emily. So apparently, while the majority of this stuff happened in 2023, Danielle still checks in on Amber every once in a while. It's not flirty anymore. It's purely just like a, hey, how you doing, every once in a blue moon. She like really makes sure to let it be known that she doesn't message very frequently at all. Apparently, once Amber got together with Emily, she started showing Emily the conversations she was having with Danielle and some pictures and stuff in a way to like make her jealous. And Danielle says Amber just straight up admitted this to her. So I guess we can take that, as potentially fact, but that depends on if you believe Danielle or not. And I really struggle to believe people who come out, especially so far after the fact. But anyway, so 4 months into Amber's relationship with Emily, supposedly Emily reaches out to Danielle and is like, why are you talking to my girl? Danielle says, I'm really not. I'm just like every once in a while I check in or whatever. And also you're one to talk. And Emily like doesn't believe her or take that as fact. Then these like fake Danielle accounts start popping up, and they're not doxing her, but they do like, well, I guess it depends on how you look at it. They say what state she was from, or I think she might have said city, but either way, a general location of where she's from, and then names her like breed of dog, which is accurate information according to Danielle. And so she's able to get these channels removed by doing like privacy strikes or something with YouTube. And since then, nothing has come about. And she says she doesn't know for sure that it's Emily who made those accounts, but only Emily and Alexis would have the information. And she can only see Emily doing it because of the fact that Emily seemed jealous about the Amber situation. For me personally, I still have a hard time buying this because, like, Emily talks to other women all the time. Jordy seems to be of the opinion that Emily would absolutely do this because it's, like, a power dominance thing. She wants to make sure that she's got Amber wrapped around her finger. But I'm like, I just don't feel like Emily cares that much. I mean, I guess she cares enough to where, like, when they had that little breakup recently, Emily didn't want Amber to leave, but also, like, how much can you really love somebody if you're not willing to build a life together? Like, she doesn't have any interest in living in the same house or getting them to live in the same state even. So I don't know. It's not like I feel like long distance relationships can't be sincere, but I just don't think that anybody really is in a long-term relationship where they're long distance and they intend to keep the distance forever, if that makes sense. So it's just a weird dynamic. You guys let me know what you think. Is this something you can see Emily doing? I know she's kind of weird, but I just feel like I don't know. It just feels not like it makes sense to me because Emily doesn't like it when people bring stuff IRL. And I know she's gone to the reaction channels about stuff that's happened with Amber and Emily in their private relationship, but I don't think she's ever done anything like this to where it's like borderline doxing or anything like that. It just doesn't make sense to me. That's all I'm going to say. It just doesn't make sense to me. I can't wrap my mind around that. Anyway, so Danielle starts to talk about the deterioration of her relationship with Amber. And she says basically what we all know, which is that Amber would do like so many texts and calls all hours of the day. Apparently Danielle works in the trade, so she does like 10-hour shifts, kind of similar to what Emily does. And Amberlynn would expect her to like FaceTime her on every break or whatever. And she said that basically it just got to the point where she was just exhausted. She literally said it was like dealing with a 5-year-old, which, you know, that whole mommy, look, like that would be so frustrating. I could not deal with that in a partner at all. So anyways, apparently it all kind of came to a head because one day Danielle had fallen asleep when she was supposed to call Amber. Amber did like 20 FaceTime calls, and because she was asleep, she didn't hear her phone going off, and so her partner answered, and supposedly Amber gave the partner an ultimatum. It was like, listen, you know, I'm Amber. I don't know who the heck you think you are, but she's going to have to make a choice between you and me, and I know she's going to choose me, blah, 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 blah. Danielle says that Amber denies this. If any of this is true, I can see Amber doing this. This does not seem like something that's out of character for Amber to do. But like I said, she says that that didn't happen. However, Danielle says that she had known her partner for 10 years and they had been together for 4 years at that point. So obviously she's going to take her partner's word over Amber. So she started backing off, being like, oh, I can't talk. But again, I have to throw some suspicion onto this whole thing because everything we're hearing, yes, it is like, oh, that sounds very Amber coded, but also like, how easy would it be to make up all of this stuff? Like, I feel like she's not saying anything that somebody who's been involved with Amber via Girl World would not be able to make up, if that makes sense. Like, it feels too nail on the head to me. I don't know, I'm having a hard time accepting that this is a genuine person that was really dealing with Amber, because it does seem like a huge mix of Valentine and Emily, and she specifically said she was coming out because it's been dry lately. So to me, I don't know that I believe her story. That's pretty much all that she really spills. She talks very, very little about Abby, which is that 20-year-old that Amberlynn was talking to around the same time when she was talking to Danielle and Valentine, supposedly. But yeah, I don't know. You guys just have to let me know what you think, because I feel very of two minds about this. Like, I guess I could believe it on the one hand because it does kind of add up with the timeline. Like, Amber did say that she was falling for somebody and that very quickly it became like a nothing burger. So I don't know. I just feel like nothing new was really added. She mentions a lot of times that she knew about the drama before it was happening, but I'm also like, okay, so if we believe her account, which again is all stuff that we can pretty much speculate without somebody confirming, meaning that it would be easy to make up. If we believe her account, then that would mean that she was with a partner. The partner picked up the phone when Amber called one day and said, she's going to choose me over you. Apparently, that didn't really make any kind of issue for Danielle and her partnership, and she just started scaling back, and that she, despite having been soft doxed, I guess we could call it, by Emily, is still checking up on Amber every now and again. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. Like, wouldn't you cut full contact when your partner found out? And then if that wasn't the rock bottom that you needed, wouldn't you cut it off after Emily started talking to you? Because she claims she's not getting anything out of the relationship. She just, like, checks in lightly. So why would you still be talking to her? You know, she does make it sound like she's sending a message like once a month or something like that. Like, not super frequently. I don't know what the frequency is, but I just feel like this doesn't really make sense, and it seems more like somebody just trying to get their limelight since they know that they have a very boring story, but that nothing else is going on, so maybe she can get a little bit of popularity off of this, or like it's just a total fabrication. Either way, if you guys made it this far, you already know. Stay Delulu, but not that Delulu. I'll catch you in the next one.